I wasn't even ready. All right, so the recording just started as well. I'm gonna do a
Okay.
quick intro and then kind of give it a moment as it like catches up here.
Okay.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is Lotta Hawkins. I'm a moderator for our Minority Women Freight Brokers, Dispatchers, and Power Onlys group. As we are bringing more value to the group, I have here today to answer your questions about TPAs. She's going to explain what that means. Miss Ebony Polk of Polk Testing. Say hello, Ebony.
Hi, everybody.
All right, wonderful. So we're also going to be monitoring um, the group here for any questions you may have. And so she wants to again be sure to answer your questions. So make sure you are asking them. If you're also watching on the replay, we will go back and revisit any questions. Make sure Ms. Ebony has a chance to address them. She's going to also share some links and resources as she shares with us. Thank you for your time
Right.
here today.
No problem. Anytime. I'm happy to help.
All right, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then just even explain what is a TPA? Why should we know this?
Okay. Again, my name's Ebony Polk. I'm the owner of Polk Medical Testing Solutions, and I am located in Missouri. So what I do here is a lot of things. I do DOT and non-DOT drug testing, fingerprinting, DNA, blood draws, I-9 verification, COVID testing, breath alcohol testing, and also I do DOT physicals as well. I have a nurse practitioner and a phlebotomist here on staff. So we can do a lot of things for a lot of people here. But my biggest thing that I have took on is being a TPA consortium for owner operators as well as trucking companies. And what a consortium is basically I am over your drug and alcohol program. You have to have someone over your drug and alcohol program since January 6th is when it all like put in place. If you do not select someone in the clearinghouse to be your consortium, you will be fined. If you get pulled over, audited, whatever the case may be, you will be fined. And those fines I have seen up to $12,000. So it's a very big deal. I manage all of your pre-employment drug testing. So if you are an owner operator, you definitely have to have a pre-employment drug test on file. I put you in the random pool because you have to be selected at least once a year, so annually for a random drug test. If you have an accident, you have to get that post-accident drug test, and sometimes that may also involve an alcohol test as well. I have over 9,000 labs that I'm affiliated with that I can send you anywhere in the 50 states to get any type of testing done. So basically, you call me, you tell me, hey, I'm in Omaha and I had an accident and I need to go take this test, and I'm going to get you there. I'm going to send you your information that you need, and you just go right into whatever laboratory or clinic that I provide you with. They're going to scan your paper and you're going to get that drug test. I manage your NVR reporting, your query and reporting, your clearinghouse reporting. So if you are to have a violation, I am the person who goes into the clearinghouse and I put that violation in. So now that violation is on record. So you can't job hop. So you can't go to a Schneider and get a job because when they do your query, that's going to all come up. You had either a ticket or a violation, or you had a positive drug test. So when you have that positive drug test, you have to do something what is called return to duty status. So basically, you have to be enrolled with a substance abuse professional. You have to have at least 6 to 12 months of monitoring drug testing. So it has to be observed. And you have to go through classes. So basically, they want to know like, is this something that you do on a daily basis? Was this just recreational? Like they want to know all these things. Even though I know marijuana is becoming legal in a lot of states now, if you're a truck driver, you cannot do any of that. I don't care if it's recreational or even if it's medical, like you still cannot have any type of drug use or drugs in your system at all.
I want to
Um,
ask them more on that because we have a lot of, owner operators, the smaller, outfits that may be, you know, um, friendly, cannabis friendly, as well as, felony friendly. Can you kind of talk about the implications of that in their hiring practice? Why cannot can they not have that, as part of what they want to offer?
Yes. So basically, they want to make sure that you are not using any type of drug that could potentially hazard other people. You are driving this dangerous machinery. This is like a big deal, you know. So they want to make sure that you have all your five senses are very alert, you know. They want to make sure you can see well, you can hear well. Like, so they want to make sure that you are driving responsible on this road. This is like a safety sensitive duty that you're performing. And you want to make sure not only are you protecting yourselves, but the lives of other people as well.
Absolutely, and thank you. I don't know if many people understand part of why this is a heavy regulated industry is the safety factor of it. And as you
Yes.
mentioned, you do DOT um, physicals as well. Can you explain just some of the things that a driver goes through in one of those physicals?
Yes. So basically, they want to make sure that you're healthy. They give you an eye test. Can you see well? Can you hear well? Can you bend down? Can you turn around? Like, you know, they want to make sure that you are healthy enough to drive this big machinery because, like you said, this is something that's important. You are driving a machine that can potentially harm other people. So we need to make sure that you are 100% healthy in all capacities.
And is this limited to CDL drivers?
So DOT really is like if you have a CDL and you're operating a semi truck, a vehicle over, I think 26,001 pound and over, it's basically mandatory for them. I do have nine DOT companies that I work with just because they want that drug free workplace policy system in their company. They want to make sure that, okay, yeah, my driver is not DOT regulated, but I want to make sure that he's drug free.
Absolutely. When you register for that authority, you are now part of this world. You are now, in the transportation logistics business. And even though it's not a requirement for some of your drivers and such to go through, because the CDL drivers, in order for them to keep their licenses, they have to do a med card, and that's where the physical
Yes.
comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones who, again, owner operators of box trucks and stuff where, it's a lighter vehicle, is not a requirement, it's still very much asked, especially in the insurance space, because safety is always what everything is being rated from. So,
Yes.
can you
Yes.
speak a little bit more, Ebony, about the DQ file? What is it and what needs to be part of it?
So the DQ file is basically a driver qualification file. So you will have like driver's your driver's what am I trying to say? Application, your driver's application, his work, their work history, at least 3 years back. You want to verify that work history. You want to call those people. I know it's kind of time consuming. Laddie, can you hear me? Oh,
I
there I
can.
am.
Yeah, I saw it was a little
Oh, my
glitchy, but
my
I can
my
hear.
computer froze. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are checking those references, those past employers. It might be that one person that you didn't call that would have gave you that, hey, Johnny, I wouldn't hire him because ABCD. So you want to make sure you really are calling those employers to see about that driver, to see if he had a positive drug test. Because remember, the clearinghouse really just went in effect that you mandatory January 6th. So before that, you know, your driver could have had a couple of positive drug tests, and there's really no way you of tracking that unless you do call that employer. You want to have that MVR report, that motor vehicle report. You want to check and make sure that they don't have any, you know, accidents or, you know, tickets, speeding tickets, whatever. You want to make sure you're checking that because that's very important. So 9 times out of 10, if they have a history of speeding violations, okay, they drive fast. So they might be driving fast in your truck. And that's your company. You worked hard getting your DOT and MC and starting your trucking company. That it's a lot of work. You don't want just anybody behind your baby. That is your baby you birthed. And you don't want just anybody driving for your company that's not going to treat your company how you would treat your company.
Absolutely, and very well said. Just I shared a resource because it's not just good to have it; it's a requirement to actually go through that pre-screening
Yes.
verification. So there's a resource with Verified First. They will help you run a MVR because you have to have a
Okay.
purpose, as well as they will do that pre-screen employment calling and everything for you. So if you
Yes.
just again don't
Uh-huh.
have the time to make those calls. This is a service that doesn't require a contract. You
Okay.
pay per hit, if you would,
Okay.
if needed. So I
So
did
it
share that as well. Go ahead.
Laddie, it's just like running a query. So
Yes.
like you run a query on your driver in the clearinghouse, and I think it's maybe $1.25 for you to just put that driver's name in there and just kind of see what's up. So that is like a really good resource that you can do that, for free. Like
Yeah, well,
that's
not for
great.
free because you have to pay,
Oh, it's
their
not
little
free.
fee,
Okay.
but it's you don't have to
Okay.
have a subscription. An example
Oh,
is,
okay, good.
I run MVRs because I'm an insurance agency, and so I have a subscription to like Web MVR and some other sources, and I have to
Okay.
pay a monthly just to run
A monthly fee.
MVRs. Yeah, so
Okay.
this way, if again, because you hopefully, well, maybe you are hiring on a monthly basis, but if not, you can kind of do this and have a standard way of
Yes.
doing that. Let me
Okay, that's
ask
great. Okay.
let me ask you, Ebony, also on what do you think is the biggest misconception about this whole, your piece in the scope of trucking? What do you think people often miss as far as the importance of having a business like yours supporting theirs?
I think that you always have to be in compliance, even with myself. I have to stay in compliance as well. I have to make sure that all of my paperwork is in order. If I hire somebody, I have to make sure I'm doing what I need to do as well. And it's all about doing your keeping in compliance, because that's a big thing. Your whole company could be shut down because you're not in compliance, because you're not following the regulations that FMCSA has set for us to follow. And I'm saying us because I have certain guidelines that I have to follow as well. So I would definitely want to stay in compliance with everything.
Absolutely. And, with this, ignorance can cost you. They're not going to accept the I don't know. They're going to say, well, here was your resource. And as you said,
Hmm.
here's your fine. So,
Yes.
will save money and you can't just leave things undone. You'll get fined.
No.
You'll continue to build up. I'm sorry, because I'm getting pop-ups. um you'll have things sitting out there waiting on you, and everything is so time sensitive. Much of what you said is time sensitive. You have to do their query
Yes.
before you can put them behind the wheel, and this includes
Yes.
owner operators. Before you get to driving legally, you have to have done your own query, and
Yes.
had your paperwork. As you
Hmm.
mentioned, if there was a suspicion of drug or alcohol, or after an accident, you have a very small timeline to be
Yes.
and have those tests done. So that's why someone as yourself is very valuable. You need to know how to connect. You need to understand
Yes.
this side of the business because
Yes.
and just build the trust. Um,
Yes.
I'm not seeing any questions right now, but we've had a
Okay.
steady 13 people kind of watching us. So I'm gonna open it up,
Okay.
just see if there's some questions. Might have been delays because they might have been
Okay.
just writing things down
Yeah, no
flurry,
problem.
in a flurry of activity. Excuse me. Ugh, allergies, not COVID.
Oh no, I
I
know.
have
Yeah.
to explain it. All right. But I do again appreciate the time spent because I know we're all busy professionals, and
Yes.
taking the time to meet in here is definitely a value add.
Yes, I just
Everybody.
want to
Go ahead.
educate more people that are in the trucking industry and in business as well. Because, like I said, just that one thing, your driver doesn't have a pre-employment drug test. a $1,200 fine or I want to avoid those fines if I can. And if educating, our companies, our owner operators, whoever's in the trucking business, like I'm glad to do that. Like I'm very happy to try to educate as many people as I can. Because like I said, I'm learning all the time from people. Like Laddie, I watch you all the time. So I just learn,
Hey, I'm learning
from
too.
everybody who I can.
I am learning as well. We do have a question here. So Khadijah asks, how about if you're hiring an independent contractor? Do they have to do the drug test as well? And who is responsible for that?
Yes. So anyone who has a CDL who you are going to employ, hire, contractor, or whatever, has to have a pre-employment drug test. So if they have one from like a previous company that's within 30 days, you can use that one as well. But if they don't, the company, if you're going to hire them, would be responsible for getting that drug test. Because if he gets stopped and he doesn't have a verified piece of paper on a federal document saying that he has a negative drug test, that is a fine.
Wow, wasn't even aware of those timelines. That's great information right there.
Yes.
Let
If
me
it's in
see.
within 30 days, you're okay.
hmm you kind of hit on another topic. I'm sure there's questions, and my thing just kind of went weird. Um, cost. What are some costs to expect? What's the process?
Right. So it's an annual fee to have a consortium. So basically, what you do is you go into your clearinghouse and you designate Polk Medical Testing, of course, as your consortium. So then on my end, I accept your request. I send you over basically an application, just, you fill it out, your DOT number and everything, and then I have a driver roster form that you fill out. So you put each driver on there, and then like I said, if they had a negative drug test within 30 days, they don't have to take another test. But if they haven't, they need to take a pre-employment drug test. After that test comes back, I enter them into the random pool. So at least annually they'll have that random drug test. I don't know when and who it's going to be. It's computer generated, so I just kind of put their name in there, and then I let the computer do its thing. So I can't give you like a heads up and say, oh, Bill is gonna go get his test, because that's not how it works. So basically, then after that, you're all good. So I would say the process from start to finish would take maybe 14 days. It depends on how fast your driver goes to get his test. I usually give them like 5 days to get their test, and then most of them go on that fifth day to get their test. Then it has to be read by a medical review officer. So even if it's a negative test, they just want to make sure that it's a negative test. But if it's a positive test, they're going through it with the fine tooth comb to tell you what the drug is that they're positive for, and then how much is in their system. So the annual rate is 265 for the year, and that includes your first drug test. And then after that, your drug test is $65. So post-accident drug test, $65. Reasonable suspicion drug test, $65. And then your breath alcohol test, or $35.
Great
And
information.
sometimes that can vary, because I know a lot of states. I just had one in, I think, Miami, where one of my customers, where the driver was at, and the clinic there, like it was like a third party clinic. So those third party, they might add like an extra $10, but usually they've been kind of cool. They're kind of like learning me, and I'm such a great people person, so they kind of
Definitely.
don't try to add all those extra fees in sometimes.
See, that's yet another advantage of getting connected. Thank you. So we
Yes.
have two other questions. The first one was along the line of the time frame. It says, does the system confirm if they've had the drug test done within 30 days? And does the driver give you a copy of their test? Owner operators, are they, getting something to bring back to the company, or is there something that is provided that you can obtain a copy of the test again from this owner operator
So like I said, if it's
part?
within the 30 days, whoever did their test before, they should have a copy of it. The driver always wants a copy of their drug test. So they should have a copy, and that copy is on, it's a federal document, so it's legit. So you can just send that over to me, and then I can just use that test. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. And then every time I get a drug test back, even if it's positive or negative, I still give it to the driver, and I still give it to whoever company that I'm working with that paid for that test. I give it to them as well. And I'm also logging that into the clearinghouse. So, I mean, and the MRO has to log it into the clearinghouse. So you are getting into the clearinghouse no matter what.
Awesome. And that's also, again, the bigger purpose of the clearinghouse. It becomes that overseeing place where everybody can check for this information as
Yes.
they're dealing with the various drivers. Khadijah is
Yes.
asking, so what is your network of drug testing facilities, and how do you know if they're actually certified by the DOT?
So I'm connected with over 9,000 clinics throughout the United States, all 50 states. And any clinic that you're going to go do a DOT drug test has to already be verified in the system. So they're not going to be in my system if it's not a verified clinic. So every clinic that I'm sending you to, Quest, the LabCorp, a Concentra, they are already like a verified laboratory, like I am myself. Like I'm verified. I have my CLIA wave status with the state of Missouri. I took all my tests, so I would never send a person to a clinic that has not been already verified. But like I said, they're already verified in my software that I have, so you know that this is the real thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she said, no problem, Khadijah. She was just saying thanks for wording it. I think
Oh,
that's a
no
really
problem.
important piece too, because now we're getting to know you. We're seeing your value. It's not just where you're kind of left in limbo. You
No.
have to be accepted. So she's fully aware that you've signed up. You've chosen Polk Testing
Yes.
Solutions, and she is going to be there to help you through the process. You're not going to just
Right.
be like, "Oops, this has to happen. Now what? Where do I go? What's going
Yes.
on?" Miss Ebony will be able to connect with you
Yes.
directly.
And I'm also working on my drug and alcohol policy for my clients so they can know, what steps they need to take. I'm offering that reasonable suspicion training because even though you might be the owner, you can't just say, oh, I think he's high or, oh, I think he's drunk. You have to have this training so that you can say, okay, yeah, I think you are showing me the signs that you are high or you are drunk and you need to go take this test. So I'm also offering that because I feel like if we're more educated, we can know what the signs are and what to look for to make it keep our roads safe.
Absolutely. I just went through a training recently as a claims adjuster, and it was just saying if there's a history, um, it was a claims litigation actually training. So the lawyers were there, and they were talking about if there's a history of where this owner has been sending this driver continuously, it's not random anymore, but just checking them like, what's going on? Check, check, check. It has that suspicion of, well, did you believe that this person is under the influence? Why are you checking them every 30 days,
Yeah.
And if so, what was your next steps? How did you help them through this process? And so you can still be actually held responsible, for someone that you're
Yes.
continually checking like that, because you're showing that, like you said, suspicion, but you're not putting anything
You're
else
not.
into action.
Yeah. So you're thinking, you're knowing the suspicion, but you're not fully going through the steps that you need to go through, to make sure that that suspicion is accurate. You just don't want to like keep sending somebody to get a drug test or alcohol test. You want to know for sure. So the class will like show you the signs that you need to look for in a person, so that you can send them for a test. And then that gets kind of like a little pricey, $65 every time you. So you want to make sure you're accurate with those assumptions.
Definitely. And I mean, thank you for that. So we'll be looking forward to the link for your class, because I think too that's
Yes.
just a way for owners to better understand how to properly manage their drivers. You know,
Yes.
it's a proper
Yes.
way to do it. You don't want to just send them off running because unfortunately, there's still a hazard out there on the road. Um, I
Yes.
guess as we're closing up, so again, we've been hanging steady at the 12 to 18 views and stuff.
Thank you
Um,
guys.
Ebony is here, part of the group. Continue to reach out for her, but kind of tell us about some ways that we can help support your brand, your initiative, and make sure people stay in tune.
So, like I said, I'm Ebony Polk on Facebook. That's my personal page. I'm Polk Medical Testing on Facebook. I'm trying to get better at using Facebook and just social media in general. I'm ePolk 5 on Instagram and Polk Medical Testing on Instagram as well. And just I feel like I just try to like repost everybody's information, tagging them, just keeping, everybody alert on what's going on and how important it is to have that compliance piece. So we just have to support each other and like build our network, as big as we can to make sure everybody stays in compliance and what they need to do.
Absolutely. Again, I thank you so much for your time, for your
Thank you
energy.
for
This was
having
a lot of
me.
great information. You guys,
Yes.
we need the feedback. We need to see if these type of videos, this type of content is what you're needing to take those next steps in your business. So I thank you. I want to be respectful of everyone's
Thank you.
time. And so, if there was not any closing questions here in the next minute or two, we're going to go ahead and close this out. This video will be
All
available
right.
for replay. Please let us know
Okay.
so we can also see that, the timing of, all this stuff coming out, all this content is
Okay.
valuable to everyone.
No
All
problem.
right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank
Thank
you, Ebony, for
you.
your time. You guys
Bye
have a
bye.
wonderful day. Bye bye.